Hey, all, good evening. It's Matt back with another episode of Now Showing, where I take a look at movies that are currently playing or about to come out. And that's the case with my movie today, which is the remake of Roadhouse. It is dropping on Prime Video on Thursday. Uh, it can be hard to tackle a beloved classic film and to try to give it a new spin, especially when that film features an iconic lead performer. That's the case with Roadhouse, a quintessential 1980s action film with a smoldering lead performance from the late Patrick Swayze. His performance and the film itself have endured with audiences for decades, and yet the Prime Video remake, which debuts on Thursday, March 21st, finds a way to retell the story and make it something new. It puts Jake Gyllenhaal in the lead and gives us an equally memorable and fierce character in a new and engaging story. In this version, Dalton Gyllenhaal is now a former UFC fighter who earns a reputation for going too far in one of his fights. Now, he's feared by those who know who he is, but he becomes a target for Frankie, played by Jessica Williams, who owns a roadhouse in Florida Keys that is the subject of a constant stream of fights. She wants her business to flourish, and uh, with a little class, believes that Dalton can get that job done. While he's reluctant at first, he soon finds himself kind of drawn to the opportunity, not a lot of other options. It doesn't take long for him to figure out that he can make his presence felt, but also to discover that there's more going on with the Roadhouse than just rowdy guests. A local businessman, Ben Brandt, played by Billy Magnuson, is trying to run Frankie out of business. He has big plans and isn't afraid to use some unsavory means. When his initial plans are rebuffed, Billy's father, who's in prison, calls in Knox, played by Conor McGregor, a man without any limits. It sets a confrontation between two skilled and brutal fighters that will determine the future of the Roadhouse and this little town. This remake comes to us from director Doug Liman, and he does a nice job of bringing it all together. The look is strong, the action sequences are crisp. I like the fights, they move at a good pace, they're visually interesting. The film also moves at a good pace. It showcases some of its Florida location, which feels different than the original. But what sells it for me are the performances. McGregor is best known as an actual UFC fighter. He does a nice job of creating a menacing foil for our hero. He's brash, he's aggressive, he seems to be having fun in the role. The rest of the film is pretty fun too. The rest of the cast is solid. I particularly enjoyed Williams, who seems to be having fun as well as the Roadhouse owner. But it all comes down to Jake Gyllenhaal. It's hard to take over the part made famous by another actor, but Gyllenhaal does find a way to make his Dalton unique. He's still menacing and he looks the part, but he brings a really different energy and kind of a different quality to the film. Roadhouse isn't a film that probably needed a remake or an update, and yet this new version makes the story its own, delivers a satisfying action film. I thought it was more than worth checking out. You can catch it when it starts streaming on Thursday. I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. Well, that is going to do it for me today, but you can keep up with all the things that I'm watching by following me on Letterboxd. I'll be back a little bit later in the week with a few other fun things, getting ready for the weekend. But for now, make sure you check out Roadhouse when it opens on Thursday, March 21st.